I want to leave my wife, but she just gave birth to our son.
The bad timing.
Become a deadbeat dad. Do it right now. I dare you. My 34 male, wife, 32 female, and I have been married for 7 years. She admitted to me that she had multiple affairs over the last 4 years of our marriage.
Oh, no. Well, maybe it's a better time than I thought.
Her last affair ended a year ago. She begged for us to go to therapy to work on our marriage, but I refused to go. By the way, this comes from Velvet Chartreuse, and if you want to submit your own stories, go to the r/okstorytime subreddit. During this time, I had moved out of the house. Occasionally, I would go back to take care of the house and animals, and she would constantly try to manipulate me into coming back. I had every intention of getting a divorce, but the process is slow. I hated the betrayal I felt, but I also missed my wife during the separation. One thing led to another. We had spicy sleep, and wouldn't you know, she got pregnant.
That is the order of operations for getting pregnant.
That's how it happens. Oh, boy. Well, shortly after the news came out, I had to leave for work about 12 hours away from her. She would call to give me updates about the pregnancy and talk about our marriage. We were separated for a majority of her pregnancy. I told her that I still wanted a divorce, but I would consider reconciling after the baby was born. After several months away from her, I came to the realization that I could not trust her nor forgive her for the infidelity. I feel like the last 7 years of my life have been a lie. That's tough.
Pretty hard to come back from that.
While I was away from her, I met someone and a relationship blossomed between us. So I truly feel like I love this woman. She has been made aware that I am still married and that I have a baby on the way. My wife is not aware of my new girlfriend. Fast forward to a month ago. I had to go home for the birth of our baby boy. My wife has been pressuring me to reconcile, but I told her that I plan to divorce her again. After the birth of our baby boy, she has been blaming me for ruining our family because I don't want to stay with her and try to fix our marriage. I think you might have ruined the family when you had multiple affairs over 4 years.
You should go give family applications to all the men you cheated on me with and see if they're down to maybe, to step in.
Like this idea. I want to have a co-parenting relationship with my wife, but she is acting very erratic while I'm still here for our son. Am I the a-hole for wanting to leave my wife? Any advice on how to deal with this is appreciated. And a quick edit. Thank you for all the mixed reviews. It was expected. I will be talking to a lawyer and will update once I have a chance to talk to one. Appreciate the sound advice as well. We have some relevant comments and an update coming up on the horizon. But ladies and gentlemen, before we get into that, I have to talk to my esteemed co-host and handsome man, Dakota the Man Payne.
He says I'm pretty.
Dakota, is OP the a-hole for wanting to leave the mother of his newborn child?
No, but you are for having hooked up with her. What are you doing? That's so messy. You knew what you were doing. You had to have known what you were doing. I know you missed your wife and you're separated and blah, 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 but
I do feel for him. It's like he's just found out this last 7 years were, kind of a toss. And he's probably feeling lonely and all these things. And while I understand, it was definitely not the move.
Oof, start with the paternity test, though.
Yes.
Because I don't know if he's yours.
Yeah.
Could be. It could be. It'd be great, right?
Yeah.
Or horrible. I don't know. Whichever. That's up to y'all to feel. But prioritize the life of the child moving forward.
We got some relevant comments and an update. Bep DHC says, info, are you sure this baby's yours? OP says, the baby's mine.
Okay.
We don't know what that means, but okay. Extra Camera 3685 says, get a paternity test to ensure, see a lawyer, take your time with someone who is involved with a married man, expecting a baby and is okay with it. That's probably also good advice. Jatario says, everyone sucks here. Your wife sucks for cheating on you repeatedly for 4 years. That's a serious betrayal, and it's understandable that you'd feel like the entire marriage was a lie. But you're not innocent in this either. Here we go. You were emotionally and physically indecisive for months, which gave her mixed signals. You told her you wanted a divorce but kept showing up, had unprotected spicy sleep, resulting in a baby, and continued. I think, honestly, yes, sleeping together was a mistake. Not using protection, to me, that was the, real... you know, it's kind of like a one eye open situation.
The
you know what I
ultimate
mean?
oopsie.
The ultimate oopsie, dude. And continued entertaining her hopes of reconciliation even while emotionally checking out. You even said you'd consider reconciling after the baby was born. That's a huge breadcrumb to someone already trying to save a relationship. Then, instead of clarifying things, you started a new relationship while still married, didn't tell your wife about it, and are still hiding it from her now that the baby is born. That's not just messy, it's dishonest. You're fully within your right to leave the marriage. Infidelity is a deal breaker for many, but your execution has been cowardly and passive. You didn't set clear boundaries, didn't communicate with honesty, and avoided taking firm action when it mattered most, and now you're reaping the chaos that comes from that. My advice, divorce her now. No more delays, no more maybes. Tell her about your new relationship, not to rub it in, but because she deserves clarity. She's parenting with you and should understand the new dynamic. And lawyer up and establish a formal custody and support agreements. Don't leave this up to emotional negotiations. Stop playing emotional games with her and yourself. You're not the victim anymore. You're a participant in this mess. They just keep going. Get therapy, not for reconciliation, but for you to process the betrayal, learn better communication boundaries, and avoid repeating this kind of mess in the future. You're not the a-hole for wanting to leave, but you are the a-hole for how you handled it. We have an update.
I think a lot of that lays on the presumption that this is taking place in the United States, because I think it's like you could just like leave and divorce like relatively quickly. But there are, as we've read, like several places where it's actually not that easy to just get divorced. Like there's a whole process that goes through it where you have to like still live with somebody for a certain amount of time, or live away from somebody for a certain amount of time, and then like it can officially go through like after a period of separation.
Yeah.
So that's totally relative, but I do think the rest of that was pretty juiced. Like it was pretty, you should be like, hey, I'm actually like with someone else.
We have an update. Here we go. Woo! Thank you to all those who did not think I was the a-hole here. It's been a tough 2 years. Here's how it went down. I took a paternity test. Okay. And my son is confirmed to be mine.
Okay.
We have the actual test. There we go.
Okay.
I have filed for the divorce, but the state in which I live is very conservative and has a waiting period before it can be finalized. To Dakota's point from earlier, the divorce was filed as uncontested, and I will be paying child support while also staying in his life. I am selling her house, and she is moving to a state close by where my son will only be a couple of hours away. This option also makes her closer to family. Custody arrangements will be updated once she has moved. This has been hard emotionally because she has blamed me for ruining our chance as a family and our son's future. It feels manipulative since I no longer want to be with her, and I've taken care of her our entire marriage. I would agree. My wife still does not know about my girlfriend at the request of my girlfriend. As much as I want to integrate my girlfriend, this will take time to do, and I also felt like my wife doesn't have to know about her until everything is settled and the divorce is finalized. It's been difficult for me being away from my son, but I do get to see him every day. Okay. I was there for his birth and 3 weeks afterwards. I will be taking time to leave again to spend more time with my son, take care of the house, the divorce, and to help her and my son get moved. I'm glad this marriage is ending, and while it's tough right now with my son, the mutual goal is to have a co-parenting relationship. Despite the things my wife has said and her wanting to continue the marriage, I feel my son will be better off knowing what an actual loving relationship is. I do agree. My girlfriend has been very supportive of me, and I'm ready to move on in my life with her. Trying to get any help or legal advice in the state we got married has been a nightmare and has been overall negative to the choice I have already made. The marriage is gone, but I will be in my son's life. I do not agree with the empty values there. Any advice on how to ensure a healthy co-parenting relationship without a lawyer is needed. Thank you all again. But we got some relevant comments. Tsunami Surfer 35, that sounds dangerous, says, not the a-hole, but you should not have slept with your wife that last time without protection. This made everything more complicated by giving her leverage.
Dude, that was a comment from Captain Hindsight right there.
Captain Hindsight.
Yeah.
Spirited Ad 6144 says, why would you have a kid knowing she was an a-hole and that you weren't sure you were fitting back together? Poor child. Imagine Snapdragon says, and now he wants to integrate his new girlfriend, which I can only guess means bring her in as a third parent. These people had no business making a child. Yeah, they were not ready. All right, boys and girls. So, update number 2. My wife was served with the divorce papers and hired a lawyer despite us agreeing on 50-50 division on marital assets, child support, and limited alimony. She told me that because I was leaving her, she wanted to make sure things were done fairly. She advised me to not get my own lawyer since we already agreed on stuff, but I got one to represent me anyways.
Thank God.
Good.
This is exactly what we were talking about. She's getting a lawyer and trying to actively tell you you don't need one?
Hey, I think you should not get a lawyer so I can just like set all the terms and legally like slide everything in. What the freaking no?
Yeah, don't worry. It's our lawyer.
No. I have recently seen my son again. Despite her efforts to keep me away from him, she has told me that she doesn't want to see me. After expressing how unfair that is, she agreed to coordinate with me to see him. I told her that I have been seeing someone, and she said that she suspected it during our separation, but that it didn't matter. She doesn't care that I love my new partner. She believes we can still recover the marriage, even though I have moved on. I do not understand how she thinks this after her cheating throughout our marriage and me finding someone new. I told her I am upset and that she can't take accountability for the breakdown of the marriage, hurting me and our son. I explained to her why it wouldn't be a good idea to stay together if she truly thinks I cheated on her. She is only concerned with herself and the life that I provided to her instead of caring about our son. By the way, if you care about not just your son, but yourself, if you give a dang about yourself and you want to care for yourself, ladies and gentlemen, I have the best solution ever. That is going to Spotify, Apple, and whatever you listen to your podcasts, searching OK Storytime and listening to our well over, what did you say earlier, 2,400 episodes?
2,400.
Wow, that was quick. Is that true?
25
That's crazy.
now.
2,400 episodes.
2,600 now.
There it is.
3,000.
That will give you all the guidance you really need in life. Like, this is kind of the playbook to relationships in life. And guys, it's fun and entertaining while you do it. You go check us out, listen to the pod, binge it. But without further ado, let's get into the grand finale of this episode. She destroyed the last 7 years of my life with her and distorted how I saw myself. I tried to get over her infidelity the first time. It was a mistake and was something we could work through. I'm not willing to give her a third or fourth chance. I want to resolve, but every time the issue comes up, she says something that feels manipulative. Some comments. Peace-loving sister says, the only thing you and your soon-to-be ex-wife should be discussing is the care of your son.
Boom.
By engaging with her, you are setting yourself up to be manipulated and trapped, just as you were trapped by the pregnancy. Sorry to have to say this, but you were really stupid to get yourself into that position. Pun intended. That position.
Yeah, that pregnancy position.
Yep. Ever heard of wiener wrappers?
No.
That's our word for you know what.
Just a pack of hot dogs that sings MF Doom.
Exactly. You knew this woman had been with other men, yet you had unprotected spicy sleep with her. Yeah, that was stupid. So you are not without blame for those 7 years. And in fact, all of the rest of your child's life. The fact that you would even ask whether you're the a-hole for wanting to leave reveals your very problem with the logic and common sense. Casual Yash 2088 says, I could honestly understand how she could manipulate you into discussing other things with you, but I'm still not trusting you fully on this, as you were stupid enough to make a baby with her after knowing that she cheated. Well, now the lawyers are involved. I think you should ask your lawyer to communicate with her for you with the pretext that it would be easier in your divorce so that she won't have a problem with this. I would suggest you not to help her move, as it can be very well used against you in court if she plans to make a false case against you. Oh my goodness. And it would set up a wrong example for the future where she will always expect you to help her move. My Dirty Alt 79 says she cheats repeatedly, gets a lawyer, and then says you shouldn't get one. That's hilarious. Good luck, man. And Sloke Otobide says, OP, get a lawyer. Prima Diamond says, you're all the a-hole, or you're the a-hole for not divorcing. Before all of this culminated as a divorcee, it really isn't that hard to file if you have intentions of moving on. Fair Prior 1085 1058 says, not the a-hole. Foolish, but maybe not the a-hole. Please listen to your lawyer and have everything in writing. This is going to define how and when you can interact with your son. Communicate with your soon-to-be ex via text. So some mixed reactions. A lot of people calling Opie the a-hole. I think, you know what? I think everyone made some sort of a-hole move here. Everyone made some sort of mistake here. Like, it's a bit of an everyone sucks here. Everyone sucks at different levels. Takes two to tango. You both made mistakes to get to.
Yeah, everyone sucks.
Everyone sucks
a little
here, man.
bit.
Everyone sucks at least a little bit.
My husband's been taking inappropriate photos. I feel like I don't know him.
Ooh, that's rough.
My husband Toby and I met in 2018 when we were 27. We were only dating for a couple months when he moved in. He was great, so sweet, thoughtful, helpful, kind, and I fell in love hard. We got engaged after only 7 months. We did the whole when you know justification, and anyways, hindsight is always 20/20. By the way, this comes from user importantfail7857, and if you want to submit your own stories, go to the r/okstorytime subreddit. So, we got married near our 1 year together anniversary in 2019. It was only 2 months in when I got pregnant with our daughter, Susie.
Oh.
We moved in with my parents to save money, and luckily we did, as the world shut down when I was 6 months pregnant. I had to have a C-section, and this is important for later. Due to that time in history, when I was on maternity leave, Toby was also off work. We spent the entire first year of Susie's life off together every day. When she was about 6 months old, we moved into the townhouse I'm still in. That's when the bickering started. Little things would set him off, and I started walking on eggshells. We would fight over money, personal time, division of housework, parenting, everything. I chalked it up to being around each other every day, all day. When I went back to work, I started a new job and excelled at it. I started making a lot more money and quickly became the breadwinner. I got him a job where I worked, and he slacked off and changed jobs after 6 months. I hadn't noticed that he frequently changed jobs every 6 to 9 months until much later. We were more like roommates at this point, miserable roommates who slept in the same bed. He frequently demanded alone time, and I was happy to oblige because he was always so miserable to us. It gave my daughter and me time to be able to be ourselves. We, by a miracle, because it was only once in 5 months, got pregnant with my son, Frank, in early 2022.
Oh, wow.
During my pregnancy, I had a lot of issues. My body was not doing well with pregnancy. We fought constantly, and the stress was so bad that I had to go on sick leave a month before my due date. It was at the point that I could barely sit, had a hard time standing, could hardly walk, and laying down was agony. He was more helpful than before, but he would frequently guilt-trip me and make me feel like I owed him and should worship him for doing everything for me. I had my second C-section at the beginning of 2023. 10 days after I had Frank, Toby was yelling at me. I have a recording that I no longer have an excuse because I'm no longer pregnant and I need to get off of my booty and contribute to the house to clean, cook, and do laundry. I started recording all of his tangents because he would gaslight me that he didn't say that. I didn't hear him right, and I'm crazy.
Oh, God.
Gross.
Yep.
Money was tight while I was on maternity leave. He had switched jobs and worked from home, constantly telling me I was lazy because I wouldn't do anything but take care of Frank and Susie. My postpartum depression was so bad. The intrusive thoughts were bad and intense, and looking back, he made it so much worse. I put Susie in daycare so I could manage Frank easier. A year that was supposed to be magical and beautiful was miserable, and I hated it. He was cruel and rude all of the time. I ended up going back to work 4 months early, hoping that making more money would lessen our fights because that must be what's causing our issues. ICU, it's not.
Why is it that
Call line, ICU, he's mad that you make so much money.
There we go.
He is so mad that you make the money. And paradoxically, will do nothing to make more of his own. I always justified his behavior. And this is when things get messed up. Timeline is important on this, so I'm going to do my best to keep the info organized. It gets messy. October 2023, I went back to work. We fought a lot, and he avoided hanging out with us on the weekends. He had another new job at this point, working in a family arcade place. This is important.
Oh.
We happily avoided him on the weekends. It was more stressful if he was around anyways. End of November 2023, I had ordered us a shed and checked the security cameras frequently to see when it arrived so I could run home and move it to the backyard to avoid it getting stolen. One day I looked on the camera and Toby's car was home. Weird, because he left when I did and he dropped Susie and Frank at daycare.
Okay.
I got the app notification confirming that. I called and texted him and got no answers. I got worried. I got off work and got the kids and rushed home, and he was making dinner. I asked him about being home, and he told me he went to work and they said he deserved the day off. That evening, his brother, sister-in-law, and their baby came to stay for the weekend. I couldn't shake the feeling he had lied to me. The next morning, I called my mom when I ran to get everyone's coffee. She said to trust my gut and to check the cameras for timestamps on the other days. Well, I did. He didn't go to work that entire week. The timing wasn't going to work and coming home. It was dropping the kids and coming straight home every single day that week. I got back to the house with coffee and was fuming. I asked him to come outside and chat. I asked him. He lied. I called him out. He lied again and again. Finally, he ended it with me being the reason he needed some time alone and didn't tell me because I would react like this to him taking time off work. This time, his gaslighting didn't work on me, though.
Yes.
Trust was broken, and it had to be repaired. His brother and family left that day, and the next day, my kids and I went out shopping with my mom, giving Toby some space. Now, December 2023. On our way to her house, I realized I forgot something at home, and so we stopped, and I ran in. Toby wasn't downstairs, but the baby gate was up. Odd, because I have the babies. I go upstairs, and the top baby gate is closed. Also odd. Then I noticed rolled towels at the bottom of our bedroom door. I was once a teenager. I know how to stop a certain smell from moving to other rooms. I opened the door, and he was standing at the end of our bed wearing a VR headset, smoking the devil's lettuce in our room where we and our baby sleep. So, the devil's lettuce is not illegal here, but I lost it. Not because he was smoking it, but because he didn't do it outside and chose to breathe it all over our baby's beds. Much after this happened, my friends pointed out what else he could be doing. My best guess is watching VR corn, and the shock he had was because he thought that was what I would be mad about. Anyway, back to the storyline. I was mad. I left and told him as much. The kids and I went to my mom's for dinner, and when I came home that evening, he had moved all of his stuff into his office and locked himself in. Turns out he created a whole room for himself. It had a twin bed set up, went through the whole house, and put everything he felt was his into the room and locked the door, whether he was in there or not. After 2 days, I asked him, and he said our marriage was over.
Babe, you did this. You allowed this to happen.
You did this to us. Over the next month, he would have violent and terrifying outbursts. He wouldn't help with the kids. He'd lock himself in the room. He'd take food and eat in there. There were no dishes left downstairs, and a smell was coming from the room.
Ugh.
I called his brother, and he came from the island. An island? And convinced Toby he needed to take a vacation and go stay with them for a week. This was my idea to get him away from the kids and me. I had never been afraid, but was now and needed him out. My mom and I got into the room, and it was disgusting. We cleaned it up. While he was gone, his brother had him call me daily, and he was sweet and kind, then apologized and said he wanted to make our marriage work.
No.
I agreed he could come home. It was all a lie. It was actually worse. It was worse when he came home.
Oh, no.
I have audio recordings of him screaming and yelling. I won't get into detail because most of it is a part of our court stuff now. Now I'm going to skip on over to Christmas Eve. He went to work. I was sick of him locking himself in his room. I changed all of the locking doorknobs to non-locking ones because our daughter spent an hour crying outside his door while he ignored her. I had decided he wasn't a tenant anymore and he needed to contribute to parenting and everything else or leave. The kids and I went to my mom's for Christmas Eve. When Toby got off work, I knew because that's when the phone calls came. He screamed. Screamed at me that I would regret removing his lock, that I don't deserve privacy, that he needs it, and I need to stay out of his room. He said he went and got a lock and that I can do the whole magic of Christmas by myself, and I'd be lucky if I ever saw him outside that room again. Needless to say, I was flabbergasted. I went home and snuck out all the presents for the kids, got us clothes and what we needed, and the kids and I spent the night at my parents' house and did Christmas morning there. I had texted him, informing him, and said he could come if he didn't start a fight. Anyways, he ended up moving out December 28th and stayed with his brother for a few weeks while he looked for a place. January through July of 2024, I essentially forced him to spend time with our kids. I had gone to court without him. He didn't reply to being served. It's a thing that because he didn't bother doing paperwork, he didn't get to go. I got a really good order from the judge, which included a conduct order because I showed her texts and videos he sent meant for the kids bad-mouthing me. Now, this is where it truly goes off the rails. Oh, we've been on the rails this whole time? This is literally the scene from Bridge Over the River Kwai where they blow it up and the train falls into the river. That's been the whole story. Train in the river. But
I'm afraid.
Here we go.
I'm afraid. Okay, let's dive this little train.
This is Back to the Future 3. The plane's flying through the sky now. Not the plane, the train. The train is taking off. Lordy,
Choo-choo.
lordy. July 2024. We had been getting along quite well for a few weeks, and he invited me to go with him and the kids to visit his family on the island. I went to the island. It didn't go great, and we fought. And without going into detail, he broke the conduct order by calling me horrible things in front of our kids. I put in an application for enforcement for the conduct order and had him served. Meanwhile, I had found my old tablet while cleaning up the house to turn Toby's old office into a room for Frank. I charged it up and turned it on. Toby's Gmail was logged in. I got nosy and noticed there were current photos. I scrolled, and what I found made me rage. And pause here really quick because I just remembered the title of the story.
So did I.
What could this possibly be?
We need to actually legitimately have this man in a jail cell and go back over his actions and realize the heinous things he's already done even up until this moment. He needs to be in the box and think in the box and understand what he's done wrong.
He's the man in the box. There were photos. So many photos. Some of his junk while we were married. You only really take those to send to people, and he sure wasn't sending them to me. Photos of his bottom. Photos of him in women's underwear. So many photos.
Using some toys. Woo! For the booty.
But none of those sent me into my rage. It was the photos of his sister-in-law while holding his brother's hand and her baby, of her rear end zoomed in and cropped in some photos. Oh! Ugh! There were some of our daughter's soccer coach. There was our cleaner, my tattoo artist, some patrons of the arcade he worked at. All of their rear ends and all from January of 2023 when I had our son until current. I documented it and moved on. I don't know if that's a man in the box scenario. I feel like that's a crime. It feels crime-ish to me.
I agree.
Feels pretty crimey.
Yeah.
Crimey and grimy.
If it's not, should be.
And he can cry me a river when he gets sent to the box.
Do.
I had a tattoo appointment with my friend who was in the photos later that week. I told her about them and we laughed. Gross, but whatever, right? Then her husband laughed and suggested he posted them on some public butt Reddit forum and I should check the Reddit on the tablet. Well, folks, if you're still here, I apologize for the length and thank you for sticking it out because it's all honestly needed to get off my chest. Here's the thing. I didn't see any of the photos I had found. Instead, I found candid photos he took of my mother in her house 4 years ago of her face and cleavage. They had titles that still make my body shake with rage. Okay, I'm just going to skip them.
Yep.
I'd be very upset. This is teeth through the back of the head territory. I documented and deleted them, but man, I was angry. I confronted him via text, and his response was, "How did you find these? Where did you get these? I feel so exposed." A few times since I found them, he tried to tell me they didn't exist. They do. I have them in a secure folder on my phone, and my lawyer has them in case the divorce goes sideways.
There we go.
I never got an explanation about any of the photos, and I likely never will. I'm sure he cheated on me, but at this point, would it even matter? But, by the way, I'll tell you something that does matter.
Tell me.
The fact that we have full episodes with stories just like this on Spotify, iHeartRadio, Apple Podcasts, and any podcast platform under the sun you can think of with your pretty little head. All you have to do is search OK Storytime, the name of our show, and you can listen to almost 2,500 episodes. That's so many. It's a lot.
It's good to listen to. I promise.
Now, talk to me.
Yeah.
Where do we
Look.
think the path forward here
Oh.
is?
This guy is so slimy, and the things that he has done are very, very heinous, very, very creepy. We need to. My ideal dream scenario: we get him as far away from the family as possible, and we siphon all of the pennies he has for the kids to pay for his crimes of creepiness.
Indeed.
Indeed. And that's about it. And get like, he was able to stay there and he was already doing all this stuff. It's like, and I get it. I guess OP was like trying to be kind, empathetic. This is the father of her children. I understand why she would maybe be more forgiving and give him these chances, but he does not deserve them at this point. When we get to these kind of territories, it's not necessary. The children are involved. You just deserve your peace. Point blank, period. Get that. Protect the children. Get them in the best situation possible. See if we can get any of his 2 pennies he's rubbing together to help the children and everything, and then that's it.
Over the next few months, we would continue our custody battle, with me trying to organize and get things sorted, and him ignoring me and weaponizing incompetence. I have filed for divorce. I currently have the kids 99% because his schedule doesn't work to have them, and moving in with his girlfriend and changing jobs for the 3rd time since we split has made it hard for him to give them time. This guy's got a crazy. This guy's got a girlfriend. I plan on moving on with my life with the nicest guy I've ever met who adores my kids and wants them around however much we can. Court is imminent, but I'm confident because Toby has made it clear where his priorities are. He doesn't pay child support still, but there's a government program to enforce, so I don't have to chase him.
Nice.
I don't really have to even deal with him at this point because the parenting time we have in writing doesn't work for him. So he has to request taking them, which I would never prevent, but he simply doesn't try to see them, and I'm done forcing it.
Yep.
Sounds like a beat dad. I don't know. The sound of that room sounds like he regressed to the state of an actual teenager. You know,
that was his goal and dream. He's like, yeah, I've got my little girlfriend, and then I can smoke my stuff, and then I can play the VR games.
VR.
And yeah, then I'm happy. Yay! I have no job. Congrats. He won.
You can't
got
live
exactly
the
what he
dream of a
wanted.
14-year-old boy. Like that's
But
we got to
but he is.
change our dreams.
But he is, and that's
Man.
where he's at.
We gotta let our dreams ebb and flow as we
Nope.
move through life.
We've got to lock it in at 14 and not deviate 1 freaking millimeter away
Locked
from that.
in at 14, unemployed gamer for the rest of my life.
Let's go.
Yeah.
Uh,
Oh, brother.
yep.
Well, that's the end of that story, folks.
My wife refuses intimacy with me, so I started looking for attention elsewhere.
Where? Over there? Was over here? Oh.
You sure about that? So, a little backstory. My 34 male, wife 31 female, and I have been together for 5 years and married for 3. The past 2 years have been pretty stressful for her and me, as she was finishing up a master's in a really competitive program. By the way, this comes from Throwaway 787766, and if you want to submit your own story, go to the r/okstorytime subreddit. So the last year of the program was last year, and it really pushed her hard. During that time, our time in the bedroom dwindled away to nothing, as she was always either studying or in class, when you should have been studying. Dead.
She should have been studying each other's bodies.
Oh, God. She finished the master's June of last year. I was expecting that things would pick back up in the bedroom again after it was over, but it hasn't. She still turned me down all the time, stressing about finding a job. It's to the point where the last time we had spicy sleep was April of 2018. Every time I tried initiating or doing a date night or being romantic, it always ends up with her being too tired. I even told her I'd settle for dirty talk every once in a while, but she didn't feel like doing that either. I suggested we go to counseling. She said that she would find a counselor she liked. I waited, asked again. She called me selfish. I gave up. I lost my mind for the first couple of months, and then I decided to focus on myself and start working out and keep doing my own thing.
By the way, John, this is from 6 years ago.
6 years ago.
So 2019.
29. Okay, so it had been like maybe a year or less, roughly, since they had done a hanky panky.
I don't know, man. It feels like your wife doesn't like you.
Before the lack of spicy sleep thing, we had a pretty good relationship, but now it's gotten to be more like roommates than husband/wife. Fast forward to this past weekend. We went out to watch the Super Bowl with another couple who are good friends of ours. While we were at the sports bar, we met and started hanging out with a random group of people also watching the game. A very attractive woman who was part of that group kept winding up next to me and making small talk with me and looking at me in a way that was obviously flirty. Ooh. I kept it clean, but definitely kept up the banter. When the girl went to the bathroom, my wife pulled me over and said in front of our couple friends something to the effect of, "It's obvious that girl's into you. I don't want you talking to her." Something about the way she said it to me triggered something, and I just came back with something like, "I'm just happy to have some attention, baby. It's been a long time, almost a year now." Dun, dun, dun. The secret has been exposed at the sports bar. The only person winning the Super Bowl is not you because you lost and you didn't get anything. She looked shocked, then angry, then angrier. Our friends just turned around and started watching the game again. Okay. And right then, the other girl came back and introduced herself to my wife. Ooh, gotta love timing. My wife walked away and the wife of our friend followed her. We left the bar soon after and shared an Uber back with the other couple. We got into a fight. We never fight about her lack of interest in going to counseling, and she told me that she thought I was selfish and not understanding. We haven't talked much since. I don't want to end my marriage, but I don't see any compromise in her at all. Before I start divorce, I want to know if there is anything we can do to save things. Thanks. And there is an update on the horizon. Yeah, I mean, it seems like clearly something is happening with her. Or she has the most insane case of chronic tiredness that we've ever seen, but it's probably the former. And it seems that she isn't addressing it or talking about it and kind of giving OP no leeway. I don't know. What say you, Dakota? Is this a reasonable thing to be
100
upset over?
trillion million reasons under the sun why someone could lose their drive in the boudoir.
Ooh.
You're goofy for not having had like a real conversation about it. I mean, it sounds like maybe you've had what could be the beginnings of a real conversation.
It's possible,
but it
I would
has
say.
always started as like a confrontation where it's like, hey, you're doing the wrong thing. I need this. And then your wife's being like, well, no, I'm not. I'm tired. I'm this, I'm that. I feel like it could start from a different place of like, hey, I feel like all my needs aren't being met. Do you feel like all of yours are? Boom.
I like that. Let's get into this update. Wow. So that Saturday after my original post, I tried again to talk to her about what I felt was missing in our relationship. This did not go well. The next Saturday, I went out and rented an apartment with a lease starting March 1st. I went back home and told her that I would be moving out. I said I did not know what was going on with her, and since she did not want to do anything about it, I wanted a divorce. I loved her, but I couldn't live like a hostage anymore. She got really quiet and then started sobbing and telling me that I was cruel and selfish and that my focus on spicy sleep was the issue and that I should go to counseling for that. Again, I was hoping that she would have said something else, but since she didn't, I just started packing a few things for work. She asked me where I was going, and I told her that I would be staying at my parents' for the next few weeks until my lease started. As soon as I told her I would be staying at my parents', she got really quiet and asked me if I'd told my parents yet. Sirens started going off in my head immediately. I said that I had not. This was a lie. Then she got quiet for about 5 minutes, and right when I was about to walk out the door, she asked me not to leave.
Conspiracy ICU theory. Courtney Electra in the chat said, I think she cheated and is feeling guilty. I think maybe that might be what happened. Maybe.
Because we had a little bit of a projezione, maybe, allegedly, in the earlier scene where the girl came
Yeah.
up to OP and she's like, oh, da, 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 and she's like, I don't want you talking to her.
Yeah.
Which, in a different scenario, it's like, okay, this is a girl just trying to get with you. But if we think about it in this context, it does make sense if the alleged is true. And then she told me something I didn't want to hear. She cheated on me with a guy in her class last year and got an STI.
Oh, so she was actually just being considerate
Oh, so considerate.
this whole time.
So considerate. Oh my gosh. Nothing fatal, but not the kind you can get rid of. She told me that it only happened one time, but I am not sure that that is true. I was numb. One of my female friends told me that my wife cheating was a possibility, but I didn't believe it. I didn't say anything while my wife talked, mostly because my mind was reeling, but also because I didn't really have anything to say. I realize now that I had said everything I had to say over the course of the previous year, and now I had nothing. After she finished talking, I just told her, okay. I was
All
done.
right. Okay.
And then I left the house with her in it and went to my parents' house about 2 hours away. I told her that I would be back, but have not been back to the house or seen her since. I got to my parents' house and told them everything. They told me they could tell something was wrong for a few months and that they were very sorry. I had planned to go back to the house, but my mother told me that if I was moving forward with divorce, that I should not go. So my mother and father went and got a few personal items for me. Everything else, I left. I also contacted a lawyer and told him to contact wife to start the divorce. Wife has called me on cell and at work a few times and even emailed me. Even AOL, and then just kidding. But I didn't read it. She also had one of her friends call me and tell me to please talk to my wife and that she is very sorry. But as soon as I realized it was a friend of hers, I hung up. I have 2 weeks off coming up in April, and I plan to go to Vegas with my buddy. Just be careful, I guess.
That sounds dangerous.
Yeah, go to like some nature or something. Go have like a nice wholesome thing.
Yes.
Yeah.
I'm gatekeeping all my spots. Yes.
Uh-oh. Gatekeeper. My parents and friends have been very supportive, and I honestly feel better than I have felt in a long time. I never thought I would get divorced, and that first week I felt like a failure because I knew my marriage was over. It's not on you, OP. But my father told me something that I have said to myself over and over. Someone else doing the wrong thing makes them the failure. I hung out this week with a girl from my job who I've always gotten along with. Oh my. She saw me at work last week without my ring and asked me what happened.
Oh,
Ooh,
she wants you.
She's clocking that. I think OP might be a little bit fine because the very attractive girl approached him. This girl from work is clocking his ring being on.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
This guy's built like a statue.
Oh
A
God.
hot statue.
Oh God. I told her that my wife and I were divorcing. She gave me a hug in the office, and that hug felt like the best thing in the world. Ooh, be careful, buddy. After work this weekend, we went out for a few drinks and just hung out and had fun and ended up back at my place. OP is not heeding the warning I just gave 4.5 seconds ago. I am not ready for, nor do I want a relationship, obviously. But it felt so good to be in bed with a woman where it felt so relaxed and accepting. I felt completely at ease.
I wonder why. I wonder what was relaxing you so much.
Yeah. What was the thing that happened that you were then just immediately like relaxed? So I know the divorce is going to be tough, but this weekend, even after all that's happened, I feel like it will be worth it. There is a second update to which I'm diving straight into. Let's do it. Have I talked to my wife or seen her since I left the house? I haven't communicated or seen soon-to-be ex at all since I moved out. For the first few weeks, she tried calling me, but I stopped answering any unknown numbers. She left me two IIRC crying messages, but soon after the lawyers got involved, those stopped. Is the divorce going smoothly? Through a lawyer, I offered a spousal support amount. He suggested a lump sum. She could have everything in the house. I tried to make it as simple as possible and keep the conversation to a minimum, which, in my opinion, for infidelity, I mean, and no kids, that's a pretty generous offer. About a month or so after I started, I found out that she had been telling her friends that I had been emotionally harmful to her. Oh, that I kept pressuring her to do spicy related things that she didn't want to do.
How do you make cheating on your husband worse?
Ooh.
Like this.
Yeah. Oh boy. That I wasn't supportive of her pursuing a graduate degree. That, man, which just keeps getting worse. All of this is a lie, of course, and I almost called it to tell her to quit her bull. This is the one point where I can say that I felt anger, but thankfully, my parents and friends just told me to let the lawyer handle it and not to let her get me to call her and not to lose my cool for even 1 second until the divorce was done. Also, through mutual friends, I found out that she has a dating profile on a dating app and is dating. Lawyer tells me that this is a good thing, and I tend to agree. It does kind of confirm the storyline. There is a lot of information lawyers ask about. It's surreal to have someone you hardly know asking very specific details about your spicy sleep life, finances, and other very, very personal things. That would be weird. It's like the doctor for your life details. Overall, this part of the process has been the hardest for me and has left me drained. But on the plus side, the lawyer thinks this will be done in a few weeks, so I will finally be free. But Dakota,
I know what's free.
the never-ending barrage, the avalanche that will flood your brain holes for the rest of the time continuum. Go to Spotify and Apple and search OK Storytime and check out the podcast.
That's right.
Go check it out. That's great. What do we think about OP's kind of rebounding, going to Vegas, sleeping with, I believe it was the coworker, seemingly weeks, I believe, could have been even sooner after.
But brother, you got to do what you got to do.
Get in where you fit in.
I don't
get it wet.
Yeah, with somebody she likes you. Whatever. You got cheated on. You got a STI. We're not allowed to use the D.
Well, yeah.
In that?
I mean, I'm not for that. It's not. It's the best way to get over someone is get under someone.
No, not that. I just mean that, like, if you're out, it's not that it's like, oh, I need to, but it's like, if it happens, it's not like, it's like, well, you shouldn't. It's like, I don't think he should go jump into a relationship with her, and I don't think that's what he's gonna do. But
hope
sure,
not.
going to Vegas with your dudes, like, it's cliche, but there's a reason that it's cliche. It's because it's what people do sometimes. Like, and as long as you don't go so ballistic that you endanger yourself or others, I think you're okay. But, you know, it's definitely not something you can do forever.
I don't think Vegas is the best remedy for things. Personally, hey, to each their own, I guess. Me, go hit the gym.
You know what? I the one thing I will say in to your point, Dakota, is because of his specific scenario, because it was spicy sleep related, he did say like, oh, it did feel like, I think he did get probably a sense of like relief and confidence back of almost like, oh, I'm not crazy, you know, and maybe a sense of normalcy back. I don't know. But yeah, I feel like generally if one can avoid it, that's or like, you know, let it rest. Oh, but anywho, we've got a bit left of the story, so let's dive on in. But on the plus side, the lawyer thinks she will be done in a few weeks, so I'll finally be free. And yes, and that she got an STI, and that we hadn't had spicy sleep in a year. I had to explain why I just got up and left. I was very candid. I'm not going to carry any shame for her. How much is the divorce costing? I can't say exactly, between $100,000 and $150,000 for a one-time buyout. Man.
Do I get any incentives with that? Do I get a limited edition T-shirt?
I had myself checked once right after she told me, and another time since, and I'm clear. Am I still dating the colleague from work? We haven't slept together in a few weeks, but we still hang out, and I enjoy it. I would call us friends. Again, back on the other point too, though, she jumped on the chance right after he had the ring off. I'd just be worried about her, like, getting wrapped up and involved, and then it's at work, and then could get sticky, pun intended.
Yeah,
it's getting sticky.
It's certainly a possibility.